What is up, my maniacs? I'm the Awesome Maniac, and today we're looking at A Nightmare on Elm Street 5: The Dream Child. It was released on August 11th, 1989, and brings back Lisa Wilcox as Alice Johnson, and of course Robert Englund as former child killer Freddy Krueger. Stephen King and Frank Miller were both offered to write this, but declined. Director Stephen Hopkins was given 4 weeks to shoot it, which meant a rushed production. I don't think it shows because this one is better than I remember. Let's see why I think that by starting with the characters. All around, I think this one has a stronger cast than Dream Master. It's also a smaller cast, so we get to spend more time with the new group. Of course, there are returning characters in Alice, Dan, and Alice's dad. I like that we get to see more of how Mr. Johnson has improved since the previous one. We only got to see his reaction to Rick's death in the last one very briefly, but we actually get to see a man who's turning his life around. I don't know why I'm so invested in Mr. Johnson's little 2-movie journey, but I am, okay? Moving on. There wasn't much to Dan, but he didn't do anything harmful, so I give him a pass. But getting to the new group, I feel that Alice has a better connection with this group than the last one. And I'm not going to question how she was able to get new friends like these in only a year like I did last time, because I like them so much. And I think that has a lot to do with how well acted this one is. I don't know if it's just me, but I think everybody played their part perfectly. I actually got emotionally attached and invested in their characters to the point where I actually felt really bad when they died. But the most grounded one that I felt did great was Kelly Jo Minter as Yvonne Miller. She's clearly trying to be the best friend she can be to Alice, but if you look at it through her eyes, Alice has spelled some serious fantastical shit. As is standard for a Nightmare movie, the parents are absolute pieces of shit, besides Mr. Johnson. Greta's mom especially. I hate that parents project onto their kids their broken dreams and in the process give the kids no choice in their future. Bullshit. I hate that. And of course there is Alice, who's now a fully confident young woman. She's great. Like I said, she's my favorite final girl from the Nightmare series, and there isn't much else for me to say in regards to her. I really enjoyed all the characters in this, so I'm going to give this one a hearty rating. Obviously, this movie follows the standard slasher formula, but being a Nightmare movie, there's some kind of gimmick that the story involves around. As you can tell from the title, it's about Freddy using Alice's unborn child to kill new people. Oh, you didn't get that from the title? Let's see how we got there by starting at the beginning. After the title sequence, there's some sexy, sensual, super close-up of bodies in blue lighting. Most of it is hard to make out, but Super Freddy actor Michael Bailey Smith is playing Dan in the scene. After that, Alice takes a shower that almost drowns her. I like that for the most part no crazy music is playing in this scene. To me it makes the scene better because it really allows you to take in the horror of drowning. That's something I think this movie does really well, not having as loud music and just letting the reality of the situations invade your mind. We get to see more of Freddy's origin in this one. We previously learned some things in Dream Warriors, but we really get to see more of it with the character of Amanda Krueger. I like that Freddy seems to actually be scared of her, which is something different. The only other time I can remember Freddy actually looking scared was when he got pulled into the real world to fight Jason. And now onto the Dream Child part of the story. Alice takes being pregnant very well, but not the whole Freddy using him part. I mean, I can't blame her. What a unique direction to go. It's a little silly, but for me it just works. But I will admit that the story can get a little soapy at times. Like when Dan's parents show up and threaten to take Jacob away from Alice before he's even born. There's some solid acting going on in that scene, but it really has no bearing on the plot. I also like that Yvonne actually serves a purpose in the plot rather than just being there to be killed. We get to the end of the movie and Yvonne frees Amanda's spirit to absorb Freddy to stop him. Before that though, we're treated to some MC Escher labyrinth stairs that you should look at if drunk, high, or just inebriated in general. And of course, my girl Alice got kicking some Freddy ass because that's just what she does. Although it does take Jacob to save her ass this time. And save her he does because baby Freddy is pulled out of him when the souls of Mark, Dan, and Greta shoot out of his body. Again, a nasty defeat for Freddy, but it was cool. For story, I'm going to give this an Avatar rating. I gotta say, this is my least favorite Freddy portrayal so far. I don't really like how his makeup is kind of soft and saggy. How do you go from having the best look of the series to one of the not so best looking? And when Freddy is resurrected, he has a long arm that appears every now and then throughout the film that is so odd to look at, and I'm just left there asking, why? And we get to see something that I never thought we would, a baby version of Freddy. That thing is so fucking ugly and creepy that I'll not forget it anytime soon. And the last thing I want to talk about is Freddy's jokes. I don't find him funny at all in this one, and his one-liners just aren't funny, and maybe even a little bit cringy at times. The most I can say for this is that Robert Englund seems to be having fun in the role. For Freddy, I'm going to give him a saunter rating. Now, there's only 3 kills, but 3 very memorable kills. Starting with Dan's. Now that was some extreme body modification. Seeing the wire shoot into his hands and body made me wince. With this and Greta's death, I was getting some body horror on the level of like Cronenberg. And then there's Mark's death. I like the use of color in his dream because you can tell that they painted the set in that gray tone because Mark was still colorful. And then Mark uses his Dream Warrior power, which maybe the other ones should have tried to use, to turn himself into the Phantom Prowler. So Freddy, in response, turns into Super Freddy!
Faster than a bastard maniac! More powerful than a local madman! It's Super Freddy!
Mark then gets turned into paper and Freddy shreds him. I like how his paper form loses color as he's dying. It's a neat little visual to replace the non-graphic nature of his death. It's the right amount of seen and unseen. For kills, I'm going to give this a Savini rating. I was really impressed with them. And here are those gross slayings. Going back and rewatching these after so many years, I had a very different experience this time around. Whereas before I thought this was one of the worst ones, I now say that, though certainly not being among the best, it's nothing to just look over. I think the acting is really strong, and the relationships between all the characters is one of the strongest. Of course, Alice is great, but even her dad is a likable character now. That's the best thing about this movie is the characters. Of course, the kills are very gross and memorable. Some of the things I didn't like about this one is Freddy himself, and that the story can get a little soapy at times, but other than that, I really enjoy it. So for that, I'm going to give this a rainy day rating. Yeah, I know, surprised me too. I've got merch and a Patreon to donate to. Links in the description below, but join me next time where Freddy dies and is buried forever. Psych! Until then, don't forget to like, share, comment, and if you haven't, subscribe. Bye bye.